this great, whoops, let me get this. Okay, this is what this, okay. This great light of mine, I'm just letting it shine. This great light of mine, I'm just letting it shine. This great light of mine, I'm just letting it shine, letting it shine, letting it shine, letting it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm just letting it shine. Oh, everywhere I go, I'm just letting it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm just letting it shine, letting it shine, letting it shine, letting it shine. When I go to play, I'm just letting it shine. Oh, when I go to play, I'm just letting it shine. When I go to play, I'm just letting it shine, letting it shine, letting it shine, letting it shine. This great light of mine, I'm just letting it shine. Oh, this great light of mine, I'm just letting it shine. This great light of mine, I'm just letting it shine, letting it shine, letting it shine, letting it shine. Yes.
Just letting it shine, letting it shine. Well, good morning, everyone, again. I see some new faces popped on while we were singing our opening song. Thank you, Richard. So I would like to introduce our practitioner of the day, Maurene Bishop, who's going to lead us in our opening prayer and has a great quote for us. So take it away, Maurene.
Thank you, Reverend Michelle, and good morning, everybody. I just love seeing your faces, especially during COVID. It's so great to reconnect. So this is our time for an invocation. So I'd like you all to sort of squirm and get comfortable. Wherever you are. And we're going to close our eyes if you want and take a deep breath and leave your puppy mind outside. So let's take that deep breath. And just know with me, there is only one power, one presence, all-knowing. This power is only one, and I call it God. Just know that God's life is your life and my life. God's mind is your mind and my mind. There's only the one. And I speak these words for everyone when I say, we have always been one with unlimited power. We are unlimited. We are unlimited. And when we ask, the universe says yes. So I give gratitude for everyone today. I give gratitude in advance for Reverend Michelle's talk and for the participation of the other practitioner. I give great thanks for Richard and his music. And I just give great thanks for everyone that is here today. Thank you. So I release, I let go, I notice, so together we say.
And so it is.
So again, it's great to see you. I have a quote that I didn't give to Michelle, and I wanted to read this quote because today we're talking about reaching higher. So before I talk about Ernest's quote, I wanted to remind you, it came to me when I woke up this morning. It's Robert Browning. And Robert Browning said, but a man's reach should exceed his grasp, or what's a heaven for? So again, but a man's reach, we reach higher. And Michelle's going to talk about that. Or what's a heaven for? So the quote I chose for today is, if our belief is limited, only a little can come to us. Because that is as we believe. We call this the law of mental equivalence. How much life can any person experience? As much as we can embody. We are so constituted that we can continuously increase our embodiment. We grow in grace, as it were. We grow in power. And theoretically, there should be no limit to that growth. And I have this other quote because Ernest is very, he's enthusiastic about us reaching the stars, as it were, metaphysically. You are more than you appear to be. Life is greater than you have ever known. The best is yet to come. So to me, this is the invitation to use the mind of God to create that, create the mold that you want the universe to pour into. And the sky is the limit. So let's close our eyes again, and we're going to go into a moment of silence and just reflect. So take another deep breath and come back into the room. And we're going to read together the quote for this September's affirmation. Today I rise above circumstances. I draw my awareness to the present moment, free of judgment, opinion, or expectation. In everything, I see an underlying perfect unity. I live in a consciousness of love, peace, and gratitude. In this way, I consciously co-create my life. And so it is. Thank you all. You're unlimited. And back to Richard.
Oh, okay. Okay, this song is about reaching higher. It's about personifying all the good things that are in us that sometimes we miss and we don't realize. And passing it on. If it's so good, let's pass it on to the next generation. And this song is called What Kind of World? What kind of world do I want to see? What kind of world do I want to leave to my children's children? You know, now is the time to make up my mind. What kind of world is this gonna be? What kind of world will be my legacy to the generations for all of humankind? It's time to decide what kind of world. Will it be peaceful? Well, am I peaceful? Will it be joyful and kind? Will it be all those things child so easily describes? Will everybody have enough will we speak in the language of love? Somehow I'm suspecting it's all up to you and I to decide. What kind of world do we want to have? Will we be ready to start giving back to this precious place, to every young face? Tell every boy and girl about this beautiful world. Will it be peaceful? Will am I? Will it be joyful and kind? Will it be all those things a child so easily describes? Will everybody have enough? Will we speak in the language of love? Somehow I'm suspecting it's all up to you and I. What kind of world do we want to have? When will we be ready to start giving back for this precious place to every young face? Tell every boy and girl, what kind of world? What kind of world? What kind of world? Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. That was beautiful. That's a lovely Daniel Namod song. My favorite line from that is, will we speak the language of love? Will we speak in the language of love? I love that. So good morning and welcome to One Heart, One Mind, Center for Spiritual Living's online Sunday service. So I want to begin this morning by expressing my deep gratitude. I know I said this last week, but I'd like to express my deep gratitude for all of the wonderful practitioners who spoke last Sunday. Robert Brown, Maurene Bishop, Lisa Lazaro, all on. Reverend Leslie, who's somewhere in the Midwest right now, Relaine Clark, and Rob McGregor. I loved listening to all of you. And I was struck how these 6 practitioners, who were all given exactly the same topic in exactly the same amount of time, delivered such wonderful variety of presentations. I mean, not a one of them was the same, and I think it really speaks to the brilliance of spirit, which it has this wonderful way of uniting us all in this one life. And yet it endows each of us with our own individual and unique way of expressing that life. We have our own gifts and our own talents to share with the world, all within this one life. Holmes called it multiplicity within unity. I love that line. So last week we heard all of these talks that were thoughtful and whimsical. Lisa's always whimsical, practical and applicable, personal, very personal and joyous, all this wisdom kind of pouring out from each of these speakers. It was really a gift, and I am so grateful and I truly appreciate it. So September's theme, I was talking a little bit about this before the service. September's theme is reaching higher, and it allows us, this month we're talking about bringing forward the wisdom from last month's pause for guidance and putting that guidance into practical application in our daily lives, both individually and collectively as a spiritual movement, as a world. And the Science of Mind archives, if you're a member of the Science of Mind archives, I don't even know if you have to be a member, they send out these emails, and they sent an email out with a quote from Ernest Holmes that I really think kind of sets the tone for the monthly theme of reaching higher. And I thought I'd share it with you as kind of a preview of where we're headed this month. It's from a little book by Ernest Holmes called How to Use the Science of Mind. You may have seen it. I'm just going to read the quote, and I know that Jean will put it up in the chat for you if you want to see it. But the quote is, there is a deeper level than the intellect, than just our conscious mind. Yet it is the intellect that must unite with that something larger than itself. The intellect is not to become lost, but found in a universal wholeness. The self discovers the self in a larger self. It is the earnest desire of all of us, workers in this field, to make this self-discovery for ourselves and others. We who listen to the gentle urgings of our own soul and accustom ourselves to seeing God in all nature will gradually be transforming ourselves from a lower to a higher consciousness of life. A lower to a higher consciousness of life. You know, Holmes is calling us to the realization that our individualized consciousness exists within this larger universal mind, universal consciousness. And we're all discovering for ourselves our place in it, our place within it, our relationship with this larger life. We might call this larger life God, spirit, the all that is, whatever however we name that. It's this universal life that supplies and supports and lives its life through us in our individual lives. So as we become more familiar and develop that deep, intimate relationship with this presence, we listen to the impulses, the call. Holmes called it the gentle urgings of this larger life. And we start to become aware of the divine within all things. When we feel it within ourselves, we see it in life all around us. And we move from this limited vision, this limited experience of our individual self, into an expanded and unlimited, limitless vision of this larger life. And we often describe this journey of self-discovery by using descriptors like this month's theme of smaller, larger, or lower and higher, reaching higher. And I think it's really important for us to stop and ask ourselves, what do we really mean when we talk about a higher and a lower consciousness? Does consciousness really have levels? And what exactly does that mean? And what do we see? What do we really mean when we say reaching higher? So I thought we would address that. We use these descriptors that might not have a real meaning for us in metaphysics, or maybe they do. When I first saw this theme, reaching higher, I immediately flashed on the story of the Tower of Babel in Genesis in the Old Testament. It was the tower that was going to reach high into the heavens to touch God. And the story goes that everyone in the whole world spoke the same language. I guess everyone in the whole world lived and traveled together. I don't know how they did it back then, but apparently that's what they did. But somehow everyone in the whole world was traveling together, and they came upon an open plain in the land of, what was it called? The land of Shinar. And they decided to settle there. And they thought that it would be a great idea to make lots of strong bricks and build this tower that reached high into the heavens so they could make a name for themselves. That's actually what the passage says, to make a name for yourself, which kind of caught me off guard. But anyway, so God got wind of this, and he was not so happy. The Old Testament God tends to be a little grouchy, a little cranky, but he didn't like it. He decided that he was going to make everyone speak a different language so they couldn't communicate with each other and build any more towers. And then he scattered them all over the face of the earth. And the place, the land where all of this happened, where it all took place, was Babel. I don't know if it's Babel or Babel, but it doesn't really matter. And it's interesting to note that the origin of the word Babel comes from the word that means confusion. You know, I imagine that they were pretty confused, speaking a different language and not understanding each other all of a sudden. So, you know, I have a hint of sarcasm in my telling of the tale because the facts are not the wonder of the story. You know, I think when we look at these biblical stories, or stories from any sacred book, really, from that matter, when we look at them as living stories, stories that can be applicable to us today in the 21st century, then we have to look beyond the details of the story and find that deeper meaning, that deeper human meaning that's timeless. And I can't help but think that this story is really pointing out the confusion that we run into personally when we try and draw meaning only from the things in the outside world. And so I was thinking, the opposite of confusion is clarity. And the only place that we really find true clarity in the principles and the unchanging principles of life is found when we go within, in our connection to divine mind. You know, we find the innate wisdom of the divine within us. And then when we allow that clarity and purpose to express itself in the world through us, then there's no confusion in the things that we say and think and do in the world. And we aren't walking around babbling. We have a deep connection with each other and with all life, even if we don't speak the same language. I mean, think about animals. We can connect with them. We connect on the heart level, on the divine level, on the level of life and love. So when we live from the clarity of spirit rather than the confusion of the outside world, we speak and we act and we do from a higher or an expanded consciousness. You know, when there appears to be confusion in the world, we can go within to find clarity of purpose, to find that intelligent order that already exists and comfort, and to learn to experience our internal world as more real than the external world. When we begin to understand that it is the internal world that has created everything, that is creating everything in the external world. And so this seems like a really timely story for us right now, because when I look only at the events that are going on around us right now in this moment, it looks kind of like the world is coming apart at the seams. but as I am grounded in that deep innate wisdom of the divine within me, I truly believe and see that something greater is emerging from this appearance of confusion. You know, the expansion of consciousness is something very personal to each of us, something that each of us has to do in our own individualized way, our own individualized point of expression of divine mind. You know, and we don't have to build any towers, or we don't have to do anything really spectacular or be super successful to move into a greater way of being. Everything we need is already within us. And just as in Science of Mind, as Science of Mind teaches that heaven is a state of being, what did Jesus said? Heaven is within. And it's not some geographical place somewhere. It's consciousness that holds that state of being. Consciousness is where heaven resides. And it's through understanding that we're empowered to manage our state of consciousness, that we can move from confusion to clarity, from fear to love, from separation to unity, from sadness to joy. Our state of consciousness is a choice. Things will happen in our lives that upset us, that make us sad, that frustrate us, and make us feel uncomfortable. But when we experience them without resistance, without pushing back against them and saying, no, I don't want that. When we just let them be as they are, then we can pull back, go within, and move into union with our source. And that's where we find peace, comfort, solace. You know, we sing that song all the time, Love is My Decision, because it is. It is a decision. I love that quote from Abraham Lincoln that says, I don't want to get it wrong. Most folks are about as happy as they make up their mind to be. You know, and I don't want to minimize or negate or trivialize the things that we walk through in our human lives. It's sometimes tough, but I do want to make clear that the comfort and the wisdom of spirit is always available to us when we go within. And if we need human support because we just can't seem to do it all on our own, which is perfectly fine and wonderful, that's available to us too, right here in our own spiritual community. And I want to shout out for those people that have the courage to reach out to me and to the other practitioners when things look tough. And they don't have to just tough it out all on their own, but they ask for help. That is such a blessing to you and to everyone in the community when you reach out to those that are supporting you. So there's a story, I wanted to share a story with you. There's a story about a man, and he's walking along the side of the road, and all of a sudden he hears the sound of a galloping horse behind him. He turns around and he sees a man riding a horse coming right towards him. And as the rider and the horse get closer, the man asks the rider, "Where are you going?" And the man replies, "I don't know, ask the horse." And he just rides away, which is a reminder to me that we have to ask ourselves, who's leading, the horse or the rider? Who's running your life? Your lower or limited consciousness or your higher or expanded consciousness? The horse represents the program that we've installed in our subconscious or subjective mind. And sometimes that program plays without us even realizing it, you know, and here's where we store our beliefs about who we are, our place in the world, whether we're victims or whether we're creating our own lives. You know, the horse is our subconscious mind just running that same program over and over again, automatically, without even hardly being prompted. But here's the thing, we know that we are empowered through our awareness, through our conscious awareness, to make a choice and to run a new program, to steer the horse in the direction we want it to go. And the more and more we become aware of what we're thinking and feeling and doing during the day, the pattern of our being, we start looking at things a little bit more objectively, you know, not resisting life or getting too attached to the way we think things should be. I don't know if any of you do that. I sure do. And once we begin to kind of view things more objectively, we begin to change our perspective. We stop letting the horse take us wherever it wants to go. And as the words are coming out of my mouth right now, I'm thinking this really is easier said than done. Is that your experience? Because I mean, we can talk about having a shift of consciousness and moving into a new state of being, but doing it is actually another matter. And I'm going to share with you a technique that was developed by the Heart Math Institute, which I know I've talked about before, that can help to kind of keep us consciously aware of what it is, what program we're running. What am I thinking? How am I feeling? What am I doing in the world? Because while it's easy to shift in a moment, sometimes it's more difficult to maintain that state of being. And I found that this tool is really important. But before I go there, and I will get there, but I was going to do it a little later when we get near the end of the message, so we can go out with an exercise. You know, there's another way that I think we can look at this whole idea of reaching higher. And it's by thinking about higher, not as rising up or ascending, but as a vibration, you know, reaching a higher vibration. That to me kind of fits the idea of an expanded consciousness. You know, we know that everything is energy and that we're energy, that we have a vibration. Our bodies have a vibration. We can measure it. Our physical bodies are constantly emitting electricity and magnetic energy. We are these electromagnetic beings. It's just, our body is that. And we know that our brains create an electromagnetic field, and and it can be detected by I practice saying this word, an electroencephalogram, an EEG, and other devices as well. And we know from the studies at HeartMath Institute, again, that the heart has an even larger energy field, a field that's actually 60 times greater than that of the brain. And researchers can detect that electromagnetic field of the heart up to 3 feet away from the body. And what I read said, and it's probably greater, but they can detect it up to 3 feet. We're vibrational beings, and our thoughts and our feelings also have a vibration. And by changing our thoughts and our feelings, we can change our vibration. We can resonate at a higher vibration and expand in consciousness. There's actually, I was kind of surprised, I did not know this, there's actually a developing field of healing called vibrational healing. And the idea is that a healthy body has a certain homeostasis. I've always liked that word, which is an ability to bring itself back into balance and harmony. And that includes all the vibrations and frequencies that are within our bodies. Homeostasis is when a body is synchronized and all our systems are working together as they should, like a symphony where all the instruments are playing their parts perfectly. When we're in homeostasis, we're healthy and we thrive. But when disease sets in, it creates disharmony and vibrations clash and there's discord. And the purpose of vibrational healing is to use vibration to bring our bodies back into harmony. I once went to a crystal bowl healing, and I could feel the vibration from the bowls really move through my body. My whole body was vibrating. So I think this is kind of an intriguing idea, this vibrational healing. And I confess, I really don't know much about it, but it did make me think that this is really what we do when we do our spiritual healing, when we practice spiritual mind treatment or our form of affirmative prayer. We use our thoughts and our feelings, which have a vibration of their own, to bring us back into harmony with the vibration or the resonance of the divine within us, our source. Spiritual mind treatment creates a shift in consciousness, a new state of being, which has its own particular vibration. It's vibrational healing. And I have to admit that I was kind of surprised that Ernest Holmes actually wrote a lot about vibration. I found this one piece in the glossary that I want to share with you. For some reason, I don't know why, I've been in this movement for a very long time, I never read this. So this was really great. It's so funny how the more in depth you get into different topics, the more you run across the wisdom of our founder. So anyway, he wrote, "We speak of being in vibration to one thought and then another. We mean being in harmony with one thought and then another, switching from one to another. We speak of the high vibration of a room, particularly a room used for spiritual and mental treatment. And we mean the spiritual consciousness that has been engendered there. All phenomena are determined by their rate of vibration. The difference in the form is determined by the vibration. Water, ice, and vapor are all the same substance, differing only in the rate of vibration. The highest vibration which man experiences is love." I love that. The highest vibration that man experiences is love. We often speak of being in alignment with a quality or a state of being within divine mind. We speak of having the internal experience or resonance of peace, love, prosperity, joy, unity. I did this today in the meditation before the service. And that these states of being are available to us because they're who we are within divine mind. They're already within us. And I was reading, and as I was reading about this idea of homeostasis, I thought about how we come into spiritual homeostasis by coming into harmony or vibrational resonance with divine mind, with our source. And I have to admit, I thought I was so clever to have come up with the idea of spiritual homeostasis until I looked online. And I saw several different websites dedicated to the idea of spiritual homeostasis. Maybe it wasn't so original after all. You know, the ego is a funny thing. Oh, I made up this cool thing. But I still love the idea, even though it wasn't original. That what we do is we come into harmony with, into vibrational resonance with the source of all things, or we move into a higher or expanded consciousness, that we move into the state of consciousness of heaven. So back to what I mentioned earlier before about heart math, having a wonderful tool that we can use to find ourselves, to pull ourselves out of maybe a vibration we'd rather not be resonating at into one that we do. When we feel challenged, when we feel frustrated or sad, or things just aren't going well and we just don't know where to go, we can pull out this tool. Because as I said before, sometimes it's really easy to create the original shift in consciousness when we're sitting in those quiet moments of connection and contemplation, but to maintain that as we move through our life in our dailiness, when the temptation to believe that the word of form gets the last word. It's so nice to have a tool to pull out of our spiritual toolkit to help maintain that. So this tool, this idea is called freeze frame. You may have heard of it. Probably many of us practice something similar to this idea of freeze frame in some way or another, but HeartMath just happened to give it a name and write down the steps to do it. And I gave the steps to Jean, and so I think she'll put them up for you, but I want to read them so I don't get them wrong. So step one of freeze frame is when you recognize that you're feeling stressed or uncomfortable, you're just feeling bad, you're challenged, then freeze frame. And basically it's just take a time out, take a deep breath, and just stop. I think of it as kind of going into neutral. So I'm just going to take a breath, and I'm going to acknowledge how I'm feeling without judgment or criticism or commentary. I'm just going to take a time out. And then the second step is to make a sincere effort to shift your focus away from that racing mind or this disturbing emotion, and focus on the area around your heart. Practice heart breathing, which I know we've done before on one of these, on one of our calls or Sunday services. It's another technique that HeartMath teaches. Heart breathing is just imagining that you're breathing into your chest. You're breathing into that heart space, and the breath is actually moving out through your heart space. So practice heart breathing. That's the next thing. And keep that up for, I don't know, about 10 seconds or so. It can be even longer if you have more time. But if you're in the middle of something and you just step away from it, 10 seconds is fine. And then they ask you to, let's see, next step is on the next page here, to recall a positive, fun feeling, a time in your life. Basically, here's what it is. Draw up a memory when you were really at peace, when life was good, when you felt comfortable, when you were joyous, or at least just comfortable and content, let's say. Draw up the memory of that, and to the best of your ability to recreate that experience. You're in neutral, you've got a timeout, you're heart breathing, you bring up this memory of a time when all was well. And then you use your intuition and your common sense and sincerely ask your heart, what would be the most efficient way, the most efficient response for me to have in this situation? One that is going to minimize the stress and minimize the stress now and in the future. So sincerely communicate with that divine within you. And I don't know about you, but I know that when I sincerely ask the divine a question, I get an answer in one way or the other. And if you've never done that before, great thing to try in your meditation time, to actually talk and listen to spirit, because our intuitive wisdom is always there. And then the final step of freeze frame is to just listen to the answer. What did spirit tell you? What is the most effective way for you to put that reactive mind into peace and to just shift for emotions? What you're really doing when we think about it, to bring it back to our vibrational healing idea, is we're changing from the resonance of one vibration and expanding into a higher vibration. As Ernest Holmes told us, love is the highest vibration. So move into that. It's just a way of shifting in the moment, in the here and now. And, I know for me personally, if I'm still struggling with an unwanted feeling or a worry or something's weighing heavy on me, even after I do the freeze frame, even if I take out a little time out and stop, then I make sure that I take more time, that I take a longer period of time to really do my spiritual practice. And then I go within and I ask, okay, what is the opposite of the feeling that I'm experiencing right now? And more often than not, what I'm really feeling and what is at the base of the discomfort is fear, is underlying fear. And the opposite of fear is love. And as I said before, homeschooled at the highest vibration. So we move into that state of being. What does it feel like to be in freedom and love and peace? That's the presence. I move into that resonance of love. I feel its presence, its vibration, until it becomes my current state of being. So that's freeze frame from Heart Math. And you can find it on their website. And also there's a wonderful book, Heart Math book, and they have all different kinds of techniques for drawing us into a greater vibration or a place of peace, a connection with our inner self. So now we've begun our journey of reaching higher. And we reach higher when we practice a new state of being so often that it just becomes the natural pattern of our life. And then, as I've found, when we begin to feel that way all the time, we begin to share that state of being with the world, with everything we do. So, I invite you this week to become aware of what you're thinking and feeling and doing as you move through your day. And anytime you begin to feel stressed or uncomfortable or just not where you want to be, freeze frame it. It's truly another way of practicing mindfulness, living in the now, rising above the circumstances, paying attention to the present moment. I'm just going to say this last thing. I remember I have a friend named Joanne. And I remember one time I was really going through it. And she said, well, how do you feel right now, right in this moment? Are you okay right now? And I started thinking about it and I was like, well, yeah, I'm okay right now. I feel okay. I've had enough to eat. I've got a roof over my head. Everything is okay right now. We bring ourselves into that state of right now in this present moment. That's living in mindfulness. So, and really what it's all about is paying attention to who's leading, who's running the show. Is it you or is it the horse? And that's our challenge, to make sure that we're the ones that are directing the horse and the horse isn't directing us. So let's move into some prayer. Let's just take a nice deep centering breath. I know that all there is spirit, all there is God, this one life, this all-encompassing, beautiful, ever-expanding, infinite mind of love and life and intelligence and order and calm and freedom and creativity and absolute joy. And I know that I am one with it. I know that all life is one with it, that we live, move, and have our being within the delight of this one life. So I speak my word for and about each and every person that is on this call and each and every person that is not, that there is a shift, a new way of knowing the divine as us. and we allow it to pour infinitely and effortlessly through our lives, in every area of our lives. And we delight in it, and it delights in us and expands us in ways that we never thought possible. And as we expand individually, we bring everyone along with us. We collectively move from the confusion to the divine order and brilliance of spirit in and through all life on this beautiful planet, in the whole universe, as we become higher in our experience of the resonance of love. So I just relax in knowing that this is true, that I am so grateful that this is true. And that gratitude is a force in and of itself. It is creative. It opens us up. It creates a momentum and an effortless moving forward that just says yes to all life. I am so grateful. So I relax in this, knowing all is well. I have moved my word upon law, and it has no choice but to respond. And for this, I am grateful. And we all signify our agreement by saying together, and so it is. And so Maurene, would you like to do the offertory for us today? I'll put up the slides.
Perfect. Well, this is our time for giving. And we have three methods. We have Venmo, which I use. We have Tidely, and the Venmo account has changed to @OneHeartOneMind, OHOM Center. There's Tidely. Now Tidely does take a percentage, or you can still send a check to Jim Massapist at his address, which is in the chat room. So just a reminder that giving is receiving, because you're keeping the flow going. And, it's kind of like the universe says, I dare you. I dare you to give and see what I will give to you. So let's say these words together. I recognize that all supply flows from the divine givingness of spirit. My gift is a continuation of this divine flow. I give and receive from this infinite supply. I give in faith, in love, and in joy, and it flows back to me in kind. And so it is. Thank you.
Well, our regular announcement person, Reverend Leslie, is off on vacation, enjoying herself at a family reunion. So I'll just tell you what the announcements are. Basically, on Monday, we have a prayer group that meets, and we hold in mind, actually, we do it in silence, which is really kind of nice, the intention that we have for our spiritual center. And we know that when we hold something at our point of consciousness, our individualized point of consciousness, that whatever we're holding affects us first, and then moves into the greater resonance of whatever we're of our spiritual center. So while we're holding the space for our community, you're also holding the space for yourself. So if you would like more prosperity, more love, more joy, more the ability to serve the world in your life, I invite you to join us on Monday night. It's quick. We're usually complete by 20, 30 minutes at the most. So we begin at 6, and I always send out a link, but it's always in the e-newsletter as well. On Tuesday night, this Tuesday, almost everybody in our community I'm sure, has a fairly good idea how we do affirmative prayer or spiritual mind treatment. But since it is our basic spiritual tool in science of mind philosophy, I thought we could take a little bit of a deeper dive into what is really going on in consciousness when we do our affirmative prayer. So I invite you to explore this idea with me on Tuesday evening, and then we'll pray for each other. So that's happening. And then the following Tuesday, I don't know, Maurene, do you want to tell about the class that you're going to begin the following Tuesday?
Yes, it's a 5-week class. It's from a book by Dennis Merritt Jones called The Art of Abundance. And we're going to talk about several aspects of abundance. And I'm excited because I love abundance. I love being abundant, and the universe is unlimited. And so it is such a blessing to us to open all avenues of receiving as well as giving.
Thank you. Great. That's wonderful. I'm looking forward to it. And I have that book, I think, so I can copy the chapters if need be. Let's see. One other thing I wanted to talk about was our wonderful secretary on the board of trustees, Jean Perkel, has been putting out Facebook posts for Monday and Tuesday and also for Sunday. And if you're a Facebook user, now I know not everybody is, but if you are, if you could share those on your own Facebook page, they would reach a lot more people. So I invite you to do that if you're a Facebook user. Does anybody have any other announcements that they'd like to share? Anything at all? And then we'll have our discussion. Anybody?
I just want to say one more thing about the class. If you haven't read the material, it's okay. I'm going to send out some quotes ahead of time. We're going to do some processes. We're going to do at least one process. And that's going to be more of the meat of the book, is doing this that causes you to think about your own ways of abundance.
Great,
So
thanks.
you don't have it. And you can get
Okay.
it Kindle as well.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's a lot easier than having to copy it. I appreciate that. Thank you. Oh, Morgan.
And that starts this Tuesday, right?
No, not this Tuesday, the following Tuesday. The class starts the following Tuesday. This Tuesday, I'm going to do the prayer thing. Does anybody else have any announcement that they'd like to share with us? Happy belated birthday, Morgan. I know her birthday was a few days ago. Oh, why don't we do September birthdays? I'm so glad I thought of that. Richard, can we do, anybody here have a September birthday? Marsha!
Everybody.
Everybody does? I know Rob does. His birthday is exactly the same as my son's. I know he
And
does.
Marcia, apparently.
Marsha, Rob.
Okay, ready? Happy birthday
Martha.
to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear everyone who has a birthday. Happy birthday to you.
And Martha, too.
When is Marcia's birthday?
Mine's the
Marcia.
9th,
Yours is
What?
the 9th,
September 9th,
9th. Oh, thank you.
9/9.
and Rob is the 20th. When is yours, Martha?
24th.
24th. Cool.
But don't
All
forget the
right. Well,
closing.
happy birthday to everyone. Robert?
Yeah, well, I was trying to give you another announcement. Today at 3 p.m. Pacific time, CSL Chapala, located in Ajijic, Mexico, is having their monthly Sunday service. And if I could send the information to you, and maybe you could send it out to the mailing list, and then anybody who would like to join that Zoom service could do so. Both Maureen and I have roles in that service. Maureen is doing a reading and I'm doing the benediction.
It's in English.
It's in English.
Happy happy to do that. Send me the link and I'll send it out. And is that 3 o'clock Pacific time or?
Yeah, 3 o'clock Pacific,
Okay,
5 o'clock in Nahihi.
wonderful. Yeah, I'd be happy to do that. That sounds fun. All right, anybody else? Nice to see you, Gisela.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you so much. I really so enjoy listening to you. And your messages are always practical and profound. Thank you
Oh,
so much.
Thank you. How sweet of you. Thank you. I
really
know you mean that
appreciate
sincerely.
being part of the community. I wish everybody a wonderful, wonderful week and see you next Sunday.
Same to you,
Bye-bye.
Gisela.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Gisela. Happy Memorial Day to everyone.
Thank you.
Michelle?
Labor Day.
Michelle?